Good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 3 and our final day of Capitol Hill Ocean Week 2014. It's been a terrific series of discussions that we've had for the past 2 days, and certainly for the last day. We will have an equally engaging discussion. As we have for previous panels, I want to start with the 30-second PSA from our presenting sponsor, NOAA. To start our first panel this morning, which will look at the future of American fisheries, particularly timely topic with the reauthorization of the major act governing our fisheries before Congress. It gives me a great pleasure and great honor to introduce Congresswoman Herrera Beutler, who serves as the second term as Southwest Washington's member in the House. She serves on the House Committee on Appropriations and the House Committee on Small Business. Her focus is on job creation and economic development, and she is spearheading several bipartisan proposals on these issues. She's also leading efforts for salmon restoration and assistance for groundfish fisheries in the Northwest and the Pacific Coast. And in this effort, she is working on a bicameral piece of legislation with Senator Cantwell, the Revitalizing the Economy of Fisheries in the Pacific Act, which goes by the REFI Act. As my old boss, John Chafee, said, the way Washington works is to find a good acronym and then back a law into it. So I think the REFI Act, with a focus on fisheries, is a perfect model for his theory. And lastly, as many of us heard the other day, Norm Mineta talked about ocean acidification as the most pressing issue facing our ocean, and the Congresswoman is working on legislation on OA as well. So she's at the fore of a lot of the issues that we've discussed over the last 2 days and that we're going to discuss right now. And I'd like to invite her up for some opening remarks.
I'll grab you for help.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
Yeah, thank you. I understand you all have had a long and busy week, so I saw a lot of cups of coffee in your hand. That's my kind of conference. Thank you for the opportunity just to introduce this panel and say a few words. You know, with Magnuson-Stevens up for reauthorization, this is really an important time for you all to be here and to be having these discussions with your lawmakers and with policymakers. Southwest Washington's a district that I represented, extends from the Columbia River up to the tip of Willapa Bay. And in Washington State, the commercial and recreational fisheries and that industry support more than 61,000 jobs and contribute more than $34 billion in revenue. So we also have shellfish growers from my district produce about 25% of the nation's oysters. So nationally, U.S. commercial fishermen support 1.3 million jobs, and it is no secret that the health of our waterways, our coastal communities, our oceans is really important to the success of our local economy and the fishermen and the jobs that support our region. So as we all know, seafood is an important part of American consumers' diets. I had some last night, although not with you all. It sounds like that was a pretty good party. I didn't realize this, but we roughly consume about 14.5 pounds per person a year. And I believe it's critical both to our health and our nutrition. And that's one of the reasons I'm working to support a strong fishing industry and strong salmon and fish populations. It's really important to us in the Northwest. Protecting sustainable fishery management practices, including key provisions of Magnuson-Stevens, have been effective on the West Coast and Alaska and is critical both to our economy and to our environment, which are not mutually exclusive. Scientifically informed management is the key to the success, I believe, that we've had in recent years. And now I believe we have to ensure as we move forward that we continue to manage our fisheries with science-based decision making. That means frequent stock assessment surveys, strong cooperation with both fishermen and regulators, which is not always easy, but important, and accountability measures to safeguard the sustainability of our fisheries and our fishery resources. So this is how I believe we protect our resources for generations to come. That's one of the things I love about where I grew up, is we are something of a mecca when it comes to salmon fishing. We have such a unique gem that most people don't even understand. People come to our region. I got to grow up with it. I want to make sure that my kids and my grandkids have those same amazing opportunities. And for my position on the Appropriations Committee, as you mentioned, I am working to make sure that both the fishing communities have the tools they need to maintain healthy stocks and a healthy ocean. So we agree that we need better science to protect our maritime economy and our environment. And I'm happy to be partnering with several folks from the other side of the aisle on this effort. I think it's also really important that a lot of the decisions are made at the local level. In the 80s and 90s, a lot of stocks around the country suffered a lot of significant decline. And this resulted not only in job loss, but in environmental impact. So as we move forward, that is an area where I think that local component is key. And I think what we saw back then was both the commercial and the recreational fishery industries responded and made some tremendous sacrifices. And subsequently, we've seen significant progress to rebuild those stocks. So we still have more room for improvement, but I believe it is a sign that we're on the right track, that 91% of U.S. fishery stocks are no longer listed as depleted. Scientifically based fisheries management is how we continue this trend into the future. You know, as a member of Congress and the only Republican to represent a coastal district from Orange County up to Canada, I believe that it is important that we build partnerships around this work. That's one of the reasons I've been really pleased to get to pick up and work on something that he wasn't my predecessor, but on the Appropriations Committee from Washington State, Norm Dix used to work on, PACSURF, Pacific Coastal Salmon Recovery Fund. That's something he really championed. And in the recent years, actually, that fund, since he left, has been in jeopardy. And as I've joined the Appropriations Committee, I've gotten to pick up that mantle and help protect the funding in the House. And I'm sure we're gonna see that through on the Senate side. So I'm gonna continue to work on that funding for that crucial program. And before I turn the discussion over to the panel, I do want to take a quick moment to welcome Chris Brown. Welcome. President of Seafood Harvesters of America, who's part of the discussion this morning. And Mr. Brown announced just last week, I believe, the launch of the only national organization representing commercial fishermen. Seafood Harvesters of America is working to reflect the diversity of America's coastal communities, and I really applaud those who strive for accountability in our fisheries, who support strong science-based decisions, and who advocate for the stewardship of our seafood resources for everyone to enjoy. So congratulations and thank you. And with that, thank you for welcoming me, and I'll pass it on.